resellers. It's Suzanne A. Wells, and this is episode number 35 of eBay the Right Way. Today's date is November 17th, 2021, and our guest today is Ginger Lampbright, also known as the Miss Congeniality of the Facebook group, because she's very active and always has something nice to say on the posts in the group. Before we get into the interview, I have something special for Ginger because, as fate would have it, the date that this podcast is airing is also her birthday. So here you go, Ginger.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you.
Okay, we have Ginger Lampbright with us today, and she is what I call the Miss Congeniality of the Facebook group because you're always commenting and helpful and liking everyone's posts. So I just appreciate that. So say hi, Ginger.
Hello, how is everybody?
And where are you located?
I am in Athens, Texas, deep East Texas or East Texas.
And what is that near that people might know?
Well, it's probably 80 miles southeast of Dallas. So most people know where Dallas is, and about 30 miles, I guess, west of Tyler. So
Okay.
we're the Rose capital, of course, Texans
Tyler,
know that.
Texas. Right.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we did a chat 3 years ago in 2018. And we were commenting before we started the recording that we don't really even remember what we talked about. So it's always good to revisit successful sellers and see how your business has evolved, because I'm sure that video is buried on my YouTube channel and a lot of people might not have heard it. So you
Right.
have a lot to share. So can you go over how you got started selling on eBay?
Yes, I can. Actually, I've always loved a garage sale and love a good deal. So I did it for myself for a while. And then I was ready to retire, and I was going to be young on Social Security. So I thought I need to come up with something to do to kind of add to my Social Security earnings so that I'm not losing, money. And so I decided to try. So a year or two before I retired, I went ahead and started selling on eBay. And it's just turned into what it is. And it's, now I make as much as I did working, forget the Social Security, and it's a lot of fun. And, you do get better. And that's one reason when you said that about Miss Congeniality, I'm learning, because when I see those good sales, I'm like, okay, I got to remember that, and it helps me develop my eye. So it's for them and for me, I guess. I love Money Making Monday. It's my favorite morning of the week.
Well, and what's interesting that I've noticed over the years, now I started that group in 2008, right around the time Facebook groups started. So what I've noticed is we have the diehards that have been there forever, but there's always new people coming. And new people doesn't mean they're not knowledgeable, because everybody brings some kind of knowledge, like, oh, my grandma had an antique store, so that's how I know this. Or a previous guest had a bridal store or worked at a bridal store, and that's what she knew. So everybody brings new information. So I love to see that. And so you mentioned your regular job. What did you do in your life before eBay?
It had nothing to do with eBay. I was a registered dental hygienist.
Oh, okay. Well, job security, people will always need their teeth worked on.
Well, they'll have to get somebody else to do it now.
I know. Well, that's what I mean in that field, because that's just something you could have done wherever you lived. There's always a need for dentistry. So
yes. I loved it while I did it, but I've done it for 40 plus years and I was just ready to not do it anymore. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's more fun. I can do it. It's fun and I can do it on my time. So
And you mentioned Social Security, and I do want to talk about that a little bit because
Mhm.
I know that there is a big concern for those about to be on Social Security or already on it that, oh, I can't have a second job because I won't get my Social Security. It'll cut into that or make it less. And
Mhm.
really the concept is your pool of earnings is bigger. Yeah, you're
Mhm.
going to have to pay taxes on it, but
Mhm.
would you rather have just your Social Security or maybe bring in $12,000 more a year that you have to pay some taxes on, which it all depends on your specific financial picture.
Mhm.
It's not like, oh, if you make this much, you have to pay this much. It's all about having that CPA who can figure it out the best for you. And now
Mhm.
you could still contribute to an IRA. There's no cap on the age. So
Mhm.
you could do that for a tax break, all kinds of different things that it's always changing. So
Well,
uh,
as a home based business or whatever, there are some deductions that offset some of the profit or whatever. You can take off your Wi-Fi and your phone and your electric bill and a part of it, a portion of it. And
oh, your
so,
square footage, your supplies, your ink, your labels,
mhm,
your storage tubs, all that stuff.
yeah, and by the time you do all that, I mean, I probably average probably around 20,000 a year, profit. And by the time I do all my expenses and all that kind of stuff, it really doesn't turn into that much that shows that costs me that much in taxes.
Mhm.
So it hasn't been a problem. And we started out when I retired, my husband was still working. So I took uh, income tax out of my Social Security, and then he did too. And so we're still doing that. So, that kind of offsets anything we owe at the end of the year too, because we're already paying some income tax
So
on our
you
Social
you did go ahead and get early Social Security. Is that what you're saying? Or
62. I sure did.
okay. So yeah, that's the concern is that people just shy away from doing this or making money doing anything because they're terrified that they're going to make less, but the pool of earnings is bigger. So you have to look at the whole picture there and talking about write-offs for your home business. A local friend was picking my brain one time about things they could write off. And I was going over everything I knew. And of course, Google it, ask a CPA, that's
Mhm.
not my area of expertise at all. But they were like, well, they weren't reporting their earnings from eBay. And I'm like, well, you can't write stuff off if you're not reporting it. It's to both sides. You have to report the income to get the deductions. So
Right.
you can't have like this phantom business that you're not showing income from and then write off all this square footage and supplies and new computer. And you have to do both.
Right. Yeah, I would think that would raise a red flag with the IRS.
Yeah, I was like, that's for sure gonna get you an audit.
Right.
So yeah, you have to report both. So, and some people just don't want to report the earnings, and that's their business. But once you factor in the deductions and do it the right way,
Mhm.
you come out ahead.
Yeah.
You come out ahead. Just taxes terrify people, so I've heard this so many times from people late 50s, 60s, their house is full of stuff. Oh, why don't you sell it on eBay? Oh, well, I'll have to pay taxes on that. And I'm like,
Mhm.
but you're still making money.
Yeah.
So wouldn't you rather have 80% of something than 0% of nothing?
Yeah. The house full of stuff.
And all this stuff,
Yeah.
to boot. So yeah, it's just something you have to talk to a CPA about how it's going to work for you. So
Mhm. Yeah.
anyway, we've
Well, it
covered.
hasn't been a problem so far, and last month kind of off subject, I guess a little, but my husband and I went on a trip and we were gone about a week and I was home a week. And then I went to Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so I was really gone for 2 weeks and I had my store on time away, but then I was allowing sales and I still made money. I made as much, it was a really good month and I was gone 2 weeks. So I wasn't listing anything except, relisting, sell similar as every day, whatever's going to end that day. I always take it off, wait a day, and then put it back the next day.
Mhm.
And that's all I knew because I was in Hawaii, and it still was a good month. So that's another really neat thing about it.
Did your eBay money pay for that trip?
Yes, it did.
Look at you. Excellent. So was
It's
that
paid
like,
for home and Israel and Hawaii. And then our trips my husband and I go on, it pays for a lot of that too. So
were those girls' trips?
well, the Rome and Italy were, Rome and Israel were church. It was a
Okay.
group. The Hawaii was a girls' trip. Yeah.
Good for you. That's fantastic. I love to see that. Look at you living the dream.
It's fun. So
Okay, well, let's talk about some things that you've sold because you are posting all kinds of things I've never heard of. You and KC are like that. we had a little chat before about, I've talked with KC to come on and talk about Lego because people have some questions and he's very knowledgeable. And we were talking about all the stuff he pulls out of the dumpster or the recycling center. And it's like, we don't even know what it is. Like, how does he even know? I'm sure he just takes it home and figures it out. It's like, oh, this looks like it could be worth something. But you do the same thing. I see you posting all these things. I'm like, what is that?
yeah, sometimes I don't know if it looks good and it's in a box and I can, scan the barcode and get information and find out if it's worth something. It's worth trying to me, and I get stung some. I bought a thing at a giant community garage sale. It was at my daughter's house or in her community. But right before I went to Hawaii and I brought it home and it didn't work. So, that was $5 lost, but most of the time it does work, so anyway, the best one I had, well, I posted it this morning on the November super sales. I went to a garage sale, little community. They were raising funds to fix their community building last Friday. And I picked up a San Marcos blanket. I don't know if you know about San Marcos blankets, but
No.
they're made in San Marcos, Texas. It weighed like 9 pounds. It's heavy. They're like a furry blanket anyway. And they've got lions and tigers, different things. This one had a tiger on it. But they don't make them anymore. And it was new in the package. I mean, the package was shot, like I took it out because I laundered it because it smelled, like it'd been sitting in a bag for a long time. And I wanted to make sure it was okay. And then I put it back in the bag and the bag kind of disintegrated, but I put it in there because it said San Marcos on the bag and I wanted the buyer to have it. But anyway, I bought it for $10. I listed it Sunday and it sold last night for $175.
Wow.
Plus shipping. Yeah. So
Good for
that
you.
was my latest really good one that's on your November supersize.
Excellent.
I know.
Now, do you remember what your highest all-time sale was?
Mhm. The Burt's Bees for $800 and something. Remember when I sold
Yes.
Burt's Bees? Yeah.
That's
That's
tell
the
that
most.
story.
Well, it was a church garage sale and there were like 2 or 3 boxes, pretty good size. I would say 12 by 12 by 12, maybe bigger, of Burt's Bee lip balms. And so I bought them for $20 a box. And there were hundreds of them in there. And I brought them home and I listed some in 5, a lot of 5 or a lot of 3. And I sold a bunch of them like that and easily made my money back plus hundreds, And then somebody wrote me one night and said, how much would you take for all that you have left? And I said, well, let me go count. And I had like, I don't know, 800 left. And anyway, he negotiated it for $850 or something like that to buy all of them. So that's what I did, so that was the best.
Do you know what your numbers are on that? Did you figure out your initial investment versus
You know,
the?
that was my initial investment was probably $40. I think it was 2 boxes of them, so it was $40. And I am sure I'm not. That was a long time ago. I think we might have talked about that 3 years ago. So I'm sure I made 12 to 1500 on all that. So that's great, and it was so easy to ship. So.
Was it because they were discontinued?
I think so. And I couldn't find a date anywhere on them. I looked those little tubes over and could not find a date, and I never got any returned. And the person that bought all 800 or whatever left good feedback, and he was happy. So I don't know what he was going to do with them. He may have been going to resell them, and that's fine. Like you say, I made my money, so he can make his if he wants to. So.
Or maybe he just has really chapped lips.
He is a lifetime supply. That's for sure.
Like, I'm never going to run out of these ever. You might be one of those, fishermen that's on a boat all day and he's got to keep putting SPF lip balm on or something.
Maybe so. I have no idea. I should have asked him, but I was so stunned at the time. That really was the best that had ever happened to me. And I was just ecstatic. So.
And it's not a bad thing to ask customers why they buy. I mean, It's just, hey, I'm really curious why you bought this. It helps me be a better seller. And I did that yesterday. I sold a beautiful men's tie. It was burgundy or crimson with gray elephants. And it was new with the tag. It was a brand called Jim Thompson. And I think the tag was $59, but I just thought that's very unusual. That looks like it could be a University of Alabama thing. The elephants were gray, not crimson, but the colors were right. It had the elephant. And I was like, So the guy bought it. He paid $40 for it. It shipped to Washington. Now, I mean, Bama fans are everywhere. It doesn't have to ship to Alabama, but I did ask him if he was Roll Tide, because my parents were, and I saw that my whole life. But he was like, no, I just like elephants.
Well, there you go.
So I was like, wow, my assumptions were completely wrong.
Yeah, you made the sale, so.
Yeah, that's fine. It's just, my curiosity gets the best of me sometimes. I wonder, why did they buy this? What are they going to do with it? And if you just ask in a friendly, like, I'm really curious kind of way, they'll usually tell you. And you can use that information going forward. Like the lady who told me about why she bought cashmere sweaters with holes in them. This was when I first started eBay. And she said, oh, I cut them apart and make dog sweaters and sell them somewhere like at a craft fair. But this was before Etsy and all that. So I was like, that's brilliant. So there's a market for this product. Okay. So anyway, now you're in a smaller town, right?
I am. And I have sad news. I only have a Goodwill and the Athens thrift store and pretty much estate sales and garage sales, here in Athens. That's about all I have. There's a Goodwill about 20 miles away and I go there some, but anyway, but my thrift store used to be a pretty good honey hole and it's kind of gone down. Yeah. So if you remember all those years ago, I told you I always, as soon as I brought stuff home, I listed it and I didn't keep stuff. I didn't have like a money pile. Well, now I do, mainly because, of COVID and I didn't have anything and couldn't get anything, and it was hard trying to shop your house or do whatever. And because now my thrift stores kind of dried up. And so I'm thinking, well, I need to stockpile a little during garage sale season so that I've got something to list, in between estate sales and stuff. So anyway.
Well, you got to do what you got to do. And my preaching of don't have a death pile is really more to try to help people who overbuy, who just can't make decisions in the thrift store. And they just, I see them in there with things just mounded up in their cart. And I know they're resellers. And I'm thinking, there's just no way you're going to be able to get through all that in a short length of time. And it just becomes overwhelming and energetically draining. I get emails all the time about, my entire guest room is taken up with inventory, but I love to shop and I go every day and I'm not making any money. And it's like, well, that's an easy fix, but there are people like you that are in smaller towns or where winter weather is really a problem. I know sellers that have little outbuildings and sheds, and they stock that up all summer so that they'll have things to list in the winter, and all they have to do is go do a few steps in the snow out to their storage building and get some things to list that day. So it depends on your situation.
Well, that's kind of what I decided after getting burned a little. And, I hate the way it looks up there because it's messy, but I usually, when I bring stuff in, the thing that's the easiest to list, I'll go ahead and list it right away. Like those boots that I bought like on Friday and sold on Saturday for, $95 or whatever. But because they were easy, I had the box and they had the barcode and I could look them up and all this. And I thought, well, that's a fast one. And sure enough, it was fast money, so then the things that are going to take more time, I tend to sit over to the side and save them for a time when I don't have the ability to shop. So,
well, I'm going to throw something in here that I'm working on because this podcast is going to air in the middle of November. I'm actually working on an interactive 12-month calendar with different action steps every month to help keep everybody on track, and reminders and motivation, and don't forget your supplies coupon this month. And one of the things every month is go to your death pile and pick 5 items to list today. And then you check it off when you did it, or you close your eyes and pick 5 items out of your pile, and just to keep everybody on task, because if you don't intentionally try to tackle that pile, it's just going to keep getting bigger. And then you feel so overwhelmed that you don't know where to start. It's too big of a problem to tackle. So I thought, well, maybe I'll make a little calendar. It's like a wall calendar, 8.5 by 11 that you flip open, and just like see if that helps people. It's not really a planner. It's more like a accountability stuff. And then you can keep it, down the road. You might have one for many different years, and you can see how your business has changed and grown and all that kind of stuff. So I thought, what is it that sellers might need the most help with from an eBay buddy? Because we are pretty isolated at home by ourselves, and it is hard to motivate yourself sometimes to list things that
something I almost wish I hadn't bought, because I really don't want to do the research. I really don't want to pack it and all that. And I'm like, why did you even buy that? So I kept putting it over to the side. And honestly, almost every time when I finally do list it, it sells real fast. It's like, I should have done this sooner, So I'm hoping I've got a bunch of, I think it's Play School or Little Tyke, some vintage sets. And I know there are people on the Money Making Monday that sell that stuff all the time for good money. And I need to just get them out and list them. I bought a bunch of them at a collector's house, and for hardly any money. So it'll be a really good profit when I finally make myself do it. And I'm just going to have to, kind of like your calendar. You need to put that on your calendar. List your toys so I can do that.
Oh, right. Well, I've got things like questions about what type of item do you not like to sell? Well, then don't do that anymore.
Right.
You shouldn't. I announced a few weeks ago, I'm going to get into golf clubs, and I've been trying to do that. And I decided I don't like it. I don't like photographing them because it's awkward to photograph them.
Yes.
And the research, they all look the same to me. I'm like, how is this one different than that one? I mean, I know there's drivers and irons and there's all different kinds, but I just didn't like the research at all. It's just all these look the same. oh, give me a cashmere sweater, give me a fun pair of shoes, give me an interesting tote bag or stuff that's visually interesting, a fun mug that I like looking at it. I like working with it. And my announcement is that no, I'm not doing golf clubs. I don't want to. I didn't like that at all. So
Yeah.
I'm going to find things that are more interesting. Plush. I am loving that. It is so fun.
Oh, I have to tell you what I found Saturday at a garage sale, and I hope they're going to be a good seller. But they're the Southwest Airlines 50th anniversary Build-A-Bear, and it's in her original with the original flight attendant suit from 50 years ago. It's like the hot pants and the little belt, and it's really cute. And there were two of them, and I picked them up because I thought this has got to be a seller. I mean, this is just too cool. And the lady there said, oh, my son works for Southwest Airlines, and those were offered, and he got them for all his nieces. Well, and I guess his daughter, and the daughter-in-law, not the one married to the one that works for Southwest Airlines, her brother-in-law, she was selling them because they didn't mean anything to her, and her kids have too much plush. But the mother-in-law was sitting there, and she said, oh, let me tell you about this, and told me all about the little outfits and all that. And sure enough, the last one that sold was like $45. And so I've got two of them, and I listed them high because I've got the only two. So we'll see what happens with those, but I feel like they'll sell, just because they're different.
Oh, they're very unique, limited edition. And some of those Build-A-Bears are high dollar.
Yeah, they are. And super easy to ship, like, you said. So anyway, we'll see.
So you've sold some plush before. Is that something you look for?
Well, I've sold some if I find something that's, pretty valuable, but I haven't really. So your little class has gotten me motivated. You remember the little lovey that I bought? It was a Target lovey. I sold it for like $75 and got it for $1 at a garage sale on my vacation in Destin. Yeah. And it was the gray elephant with the little, anyway, it sold really fast and for 70 something dollars, so that was great. I'll pick those up anytime I find them.
So anyway, back to your shopping. So you go to the little thrift store in your town. Is Goodwill close by, or do you have to go far away?
Close by the town. I have to drive by Goodwill to get to town. So it's really close by. And they price here, like the prices that you get, we don't get. They're priced up a little bit, but I've found some good things that, like you say, they can't catch everything. So I have found some good things there several times. But my other little store was really good, and I found a lot of good things there. But then they started pricing their stuff up, and it's just kind of gone down. The prices are higher, and the stock isn't as good, and it looks a little junky. And we're all of us, like I even volunteer there to get things ready for Christmas, for their Christmas store. And we're all like, wonder what's going wrong here. It's just not the same as it used to be. So I'll just have to come up with something different. I mean, I can still find something there occasionally, but not near like I used to. That was kind of my honey hole for a while, but.
Yeah, I hate it when that happens, but that's just, you have to keep evolving, and this business is so fluid. You have to just roll with it and find new ways to do things, explore new product lines. You can't do the same thing forever most of the time.
Right.
And speaking of Goodwill and prices, my daughter went to a Goodwill. We kind of plan out who's going to go where so that we're not hitting the same store because, oh, I just went there yesterday. And then she goes and Mom, you took all the good stuff. So we plan that out, but she went to one and all of their shoes, which are normally $6, were priced at between $9 and $12.
Oh.
And we both kind of had a heart attack. Is this where that's going for all the Goodwills in Atlanta? What's happening here? So I was at a different store and asked the manager, the Goodwill manager, what's going on there. And I said, is this a new company-wide pricing? Because shoes have been $5 to $6 ever since I've been doing this business. And I can't imagine that people who are used to paying that are just going to start shelling out $9 to $12 for used shoes.
Right.
So he said, no, that store is probably not making their numbers. So they just decided to jack up the prices in one department, because where every other store I've been to, I never saw that $9 to $12 for shoes. It was just at this one place, this one Goodwill. So that's interesting that they have the ability to change their pricing to make their numbers. But another problem is there's just not as much merchandise in the stores anymore.
Right. That's true. And I'm wondering what that's about. Maybe because you can't buy it in the store as easy right now. And so people are not donating as much. I don't know, but you're right. There's not.
Well, and I think part of the problem with the stores not having enough merchandise, because I've asked this also at several different ones I go to, where's all the stuff? Are donations down? What's happening here? And they say it's employees. We can't get the people to do the work because there's this whole thing about people don't want to work now. And it's just ridiculous getting the help they need. And that Goodwill changed their criteria for hiring. One manager said, yeah, apparently you have to work for NASA before you work for Goodwill, because they give them all these math tests. All they have to do is put the clothes on the rack or put the shoes on the shelf. So why are they requiring all this advanced knowledge when their mission is putting people to work?
Right.
So it is getting better. But maybe they changed the policy to something else now because they saw, and you can see through the doors in the back, the stuff is just piled. It's to the ceiling, and they're not getting it on the floor. And I actually asked one manager, I said, what if I gave you $100 and you just let me go in the back and pick some stuff out?
Yeah. Did he let you?
He was like, no, we can't do that. And I was like, well, you might get to that, put a sign on the back door, $100 to enter and shop in the intake room, because I could see stuff like, oh, I would buy that and I would buy that. And they just don't have the people to get it on the floor.
Well, now that you say that, the little thrift store that I'm complaining about, it was volunteers that did a lot of it, like what I do. We clean the stuff and price it and get it ready to go and all. And that they had people that did it in each department. And through COVID, a lot of those ladies that used to do it were senior citizens. Well, they don't want to do that anymore. So they've only got their staff. And like we had a thrifty Christmas store that was the building next to the thrift store. And the whole thing was all Christmas. Well, now that's storage. So now we've just got to mix the Christmas stuff in with the store, because I guess they don't have enough people. So that may be the whole thing. Maybe that they just don't have enough employees and volunteers to get the stuff out there and make
something's going on, because there's no way that in a city of, I don't know, I think we're up to 5 million in the metro area. There's no way that donations are down. It's just, it's only going to get bigger as we go along, because there's just more and more people that have more stuff to donate. So I donate things to a little church thrift store. I like to help the smaller missions. Goodwill gets enough. So I went with some donations of things I had pulled from my inventory that it's like, I've had this forever. It's not going to sell. It's good stuff. And they refused it. They said, we're not taking donations right now because we don't have anywhere to put them.
Wow.
They turned me away. It's like a dichotomy of, we're not getting enough inventory to buy because there's too much of an overflow. They can't handle it. It's like the dam broke and they can't handle it.
Yeah. Wow. And it is really hard. Every business in town has a help wanted sign up. Every one of them.
What would be your go-to type products?
Well, I really like to find things that are new in the package that literally I can scan, take pictures of, and all the information pops in there. If I could that's my favorite thing. Or literally something like that San Marcos blanket. I knew when I saw it, it was going to be worth money. You know, like those boots I bought, those Danner boots. The minute I saw them, I thought, that's money. You know, those are my favorite things. And I'm trying, and it's working, to buy less than, if I know I can't make at least $30 or $40 on it, I just try to walk away, because you know, my average price per item at the end of the month would be like $12 to $15. Well, last month it was 25. So that's a big difference. Yeah. And it's just more fun. You know, when you see one that sells for $9.99, you're like, oh, you know, by the time I pay her, I'm going to get $3 out of that. You know, by the time my cost of goods and shipping and whatever, eBay fees and all. And it's just not, it's almost just not worth it. So I've done a little of what you're doing. And like when I delete things and do the sell similar, if it's been there a long time and it's not worth anything, I'm just not re-listing it. I'm just going to donate it back and clear some of that out. But so I guess my favorite thing, or to be perfectly honest, things that are easy to list.
Perfect.
Just to be honest.
Well, and the big question when you are reevaluating your inventory when listings are about to renew is, would I buy that now?
Mm-hmm.
Knowing what I know now, my vision for my business, what people are buying, like I can't even give a puzzle away. Last year, puzzles were just off the charts.
Yep.
Because people were at home, they were bored, they needed stuff to do, they were interacting with their family. And now I think I have 2 left, and I don't even look at them anymore because they just don't sell for me. I think the key is if it's new in the package, that would be great because they know all the pieces are going to be there. But I don't have time to work a 5,000 piece puzzle to see if all the pieces are there and take a picture of it, because I don't have time for that.
No,
and I don't want to.
There's that too. I don't want to. You know, and I've decided, like, I know VCRs, people make a lot of money on those. I don't want to ship it. I don't want to test it. I don't want to do it, you know? And so I've decided I'm not buying that kind of stuff anymore. I more know what I don't want to sell anymore. I don't want to sell glassware anymore. So it is a rare occasion when I pick that up because I don't want to ship it. So the clothes are great when they sell. They're easy to ship and all that, but I don't like laundering and measuring and photographing, all that. It's just a lot. And honestly, and now I'm not saying I won't pick up something that I know is worth a lot of money, because I will. But if it's not worth a lot of money, I just don't pick them up anymore, because even Chico's, you know, seems like you could do pretty well on Chico's. And now, I mean, I can hardly give it away. And it's a lot of it's really cute. I would wear it, you know, and if it were my size, but, so anyway, unless it's like you say, a cashmere that I know will sell, or, I don't know, a classic, or,
and it takes practice to leave those things behind, because you feel like I better take that because I know I can sell it for $20. But once you get out of the weeds and get to a higher level of more intentional picking, then it all turns around. In fact, I just released my October sales update video, and I've been doing that strategy now for over a year, and it's finally manifesting in my store. And my sales were up 88% from September to October. And I had several items, a couple over 100, a couple of 90, 80, like they're higher dollar items. So you have to build your confidence that it's okay to leave those lower dollar items behind, because that is a time suck.
It is.
If you're listing, let's say you got 10 items that are going to sell for $20. You could have found 1 or 2 items that were going to sell for 75 and up, and get those listed, and then go back for more. And it took me a long time to be able to leave things behind.
It is hard.
It's just like, I know that'll sell, but time really is your most valuable resource. And I know a lot of sellers are at the point where buying something for $1 and selling it for 20 is a luxury. They're like, oh, I would love to have that. You have to
Wow.
build it up to get to where you're doing the higher dollar items with more experience. But I'm the worst. It's just like, I want to, oh, I could sell that. I could sell that. I've sold that before. But you really have to be selective to get to those higher dollar items, because you could have your death pile with 100 things in it, and maybe 50 of them could sell for over $100, but they're not getting listed because you're all caught up in listing the lower dollar stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
It's true. And, you know, sometimes I'll think, oh, I could make 20 on that. That'll buy dinner for us. You know, that's like almost like a free dinner. But then I'm like, do you just walk away, Ginger? Just walk away from it and stick with the better stuff. And I am really trying. And I'm not going to tell you that I do it all the time, because I have weak moments. And if I don't find anything, if I'm going to a lot of garage sales and like I'm just not finding anything, then I get nervous about it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to have anything this week, so I probably better pick up something that I might not pick up otherwise. And then I'll go to the very next one and find something good. So I've got to learn to just wait it out and be patient, because there's good stuff out there. There really is.
I'm looking up something in my BOLO book here because I wanted to mention this, because I said, oh, I don't do puzzles anymore. But on page 163 are the, I do look for those, because those are like art. They're
Right.
a shape of an item, like maybe it's a famous building like the Eiffel Tower, or maybe it's an animal like a pretty whale. They're very durable, and usually you can work them pretty quick to make sure the pieces are there. But I do look for those. So I'm not saying, oh, I'm never going to sell a puzzle again. It depends on what it is. But
Right.
back to your comment about looking at an item before you buy it and saying, yeah, I don't want to work with that. I don't want to ship that. I don't like that. It took me a long time. I think when I would turn 50, I started saying, and I had to practice in life and in eBay to say, I don't want to do that. I don't want to. And, you know, no is a complete sentence. You don't have to, you don't have to explain. And the more you incorporate things that you do want to work with, that you just like, you can't wait to get in there and list that item because it's so cool looking or fun. And then you keep putting the thing aside that, yeah, this is profitable, but it's just, I'm not attracted to that. I just don't really want to list that. I like working with pretty things that feel good.
Yeah. Some of that, I don't have the skill set to test it or the want to. I just don't want to fool with it. So I'm just going to have to make it a different way, you know.
Well, and that's great for the resellers around you that do like electronics, because, you know, they're not going to go look at the bras or the stuffed animals if that's their thing is electronics. Now, if I saw a vintage Walkman sitting there, yeah, I'm going to get that. Or some of these vintage calculators or things like that. That's kind of a no-brainer. Well, and I think if you have an engineer brain and you just love taking things apart to see if they're going to work. I have a friend whose dad is like that. And we used to joke about his appliance graveyard in their basement. Just there was anytime anything broke or wore out or didn't work, they would put it down there because he wanted to know what went wrong. It could be a coffee maker. It could be a computer. It could be anything. And to me, I don't want to know that. I don't need to know that. There's that I don't want to again.
You're right.
It's so empowering when you can just say, yeah, I don't want to.
Yeah. And I'm doing fine without doing that, you know, so.
Right. That's somebody else's project.
I've decided on Friday, we're supposed to go set up the Christmas store at the thrift store. And I thought, I'm going to take all these things that I didn't relist. They're going Friday to the thrift store and they'll be gone, you know, because I don't want to fool with them anymore. They're $5 items or $10 items or whatever. And they've sat around here long enough. They're gone.
So let's talk about your numbers. Do you keep your numbers?
I do.
Okay. And are you willing to share your numbers?
I can tell you the last 2 months for sure. I'd have to go look at my computer to get the rest of them. But the last 2 months, I've made profit $2,400 a month. It's mostly usually around 1,500, 1,800. And then the last couple of months, it's been right at 2,400. And this month, I only sold 100 items. So it was basically $24 an item. That's how I told you.
Only 100? That's a lot.
Well, usually it's more to make less. So there's the thing. For me, that's kind of a low month, 100 items. So
Would you consider yourself full-time or part-time?
well, part-time. I would say part-time.
Mhm.
I only, I feel like I work almost full-time on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday sourcing because that's when the garage sales and estate sales are. And I'm usually gone quite a bit of the day on those days. And then, I'll list a few hours each day if I want to. Like if there's a day I just don't, want to fool with it or whatever, I just don't. So, but I would say that I probably average working 2-3 hours a day. So that's
Mhm.
part-time. Mhm.
Well, and it depends on how you count it, but I don't really count that as work because it's fun. And
Mhm.
when I'm out there doing that, I get ideas for videos and things I can make a class about, and I see different things. So it's more of educational. I don't consider it work. And
Uh-huh.
the Goodwills I go to, most of them are really nice. They have a nice bathroom. They play fun music.
Mhm.
Nobody bothers me. It's like not super crowded, like at the bins
Yeah.
where, you're
Yeah.
running for your life if you shop there.
Yeah.
So to
Love the
me,
beans.
that's like an outing. And then I treat myself to lunch while I'm out. And I just make a day of it. And it's getting me away from the computer, which is where I
Mhm.
get hung up doing a lot. And it's not healthy to sit at your computer all the time. So
Wow.
it depends on how you count it, because people say, well, how many
Mhm.
hours a week do you put in? And, I touch that business every day. I'm
Mhm.
shipping, I'm ending and restarting things, I'm listing, I'm evaluating promoted listings. Like, do I want to change my campaign? And it's something all the time. So it's like an extension of me. But um, I don't think I could do just eBay all the time because you can get burned out,
Mhm. I agree.
especially
And
with the
like,
listing.
yeah, the listing's the least fun part to me. The buying it's fun, the shipping it's fun, the selling it's fun. The listing is not the most fun part to me. But in the morning when I get up, I'll get my coffee and I'll end all the listings that are ending in the next 24 hours, and then I'll relist the ones from the day before. So that's like my routine. And first thing in the morning, I always do that. And then either I'll go out and shop if it's on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or usually in the afternoon I'll list. But in fact, my sister-in-law told me, she said, you're gonna have to teach me how to do this because I know their daughter, she's not gonna want all this stuff. And they're kind of beginning to think that way, and I'm already there. Like if I don't need it, want it, I'll sell it or donate it. Mostly I try to sell it first because you usually can. My husband and I which it wasn't on eBay, but we decided that we wanted e-bikes, that help you pedal because we live in
Oh,
a
those
hilly.
are so fun. Yeah.
And I tried it in Paris. We did an e-bike tour. It was wonderful. And so I kept telling him how great they were. Well, then I bought me one and then he liked it. So he got one. So we had 3 bicycles, regular bicycles. So we decided, well, we need to get rid of those. We're done with that, So we did it on Marketplace. But in a week, we got rid of all 3 bikes. And I thought about you because didn't you sell a bike? I think you did yours local too, didn't you?
I did. That was, let's see, it was in 2020. Actually, I bought it off Facebook Marketplace in 2019 because there was a trail near where I lived before. It was a paved walking, biking trail. And I just thought, oh, it'd be so fun to have a bike. I love riding a bike. And so I bought it off Facebook Marketplace. It was practically brand new. It had been used by a drama company for the production of The Wizard of Oz, and it only been ridden on stage by the Wicked Witch. So it was a Huffy something. It was I don't know, it was over $100 bike new, and I got it for 80, and I rode it, and then COVID happened, and then in June of 2020, everybody's on lockdown, they're wanting to get outside and do stuff. Well, that trail just had a zillion people on it, and people didn't know what to do with themselves. So they're out there with their kids running all over the place, and their 4 dogs on leashes going all different directions. And I was just not enjoying riding bikes, having to dodge all these people. I was just, get off my trail and go somewhere else. So I was like, I'm just going to sell this. I put it on Facebook Marketplace. Some of those bikes were going for $300 because everybody was out of stock. Walmart didn't have any. The sporting goods stores didn't have any. It was the supply chain issue, all of that, or they were closed and sold out online. So I sold it for, I think, 150. It had the basket on the front. I had purchased a cover because I was in an apartment and had to store it outside. It had a lock. It was the complete kit, and it sold in like 5 minutes. The lady came and got it immediately. And it was just a regular, I call it a beach bike. It didn't have gears. It was just your basic bike, fat tires for people who want to leisurely ride a bike. It wasn't for racing or anything. And hey, it served its purpose. I rode it enough. I doubled my investment almost. So, yes, you are right in remembering that story.
Yeah. Well, and really, of course, I think we bought all 3 of these new, but we got a lot back for them, a lot for use. But on the e-bikes, we bought both of those used. So I told Randy, we can ride them as long as we want. If we want to upgrade or something, we could probably sell them for what we paid for them. It's kind of nice. That's the beauty of buying used. It doesn't cost you much to own stuff, because you can always, when you're tired of it, sell it for about what you paid for it. And it didn't really cost you anything to have it. So I enjoy that.
Good for you.
It really is.
Just to clarify, when did you start selling?
Well, I've been retired 3 years, and I think I started selling 2 years before that. So about 5 years.
Okay. So what is your best advice to somebody just starting or struggling with their business?
Well, I think it's good. I think it's better when you list every day. Sales obviously are better. And I think it's probably, if I could tell anybody, stay away from the cheap stuff and look for things that are more high quality and sell for more money, because number one, it's way more exciting when you see the sale, and it's just makes your time better spent. It's a better investment in your time, and just so that's what I would say. I did it the wrong way. And take your phone and research. Don't buy something without looking it up if you don't know, because you may end up with a bunch of stuff you wish you didn't have.
Right. And we did talk about, after a while, you just know, like with the Loveys, it's, you really can't go wrong because they're usually so cheap. But if you can research, and I think it's funny when people post pictures of things on the group, what is this? What logo is this? Like, they don't know anything about it, and they bought it to resell. It's different if you get a whole bunch of free stuff. Right. You're trying to figure out what it is. But if you're not doing that work on the front end, that's really your responsibility to figure it out before you invest any money in it. And I'm just going to put this plug out there. Please don't come on the Facebook group you're in the thrift store and you're taking pictures of things. Should I buy this? Should I buy that? Right. That is not what that group is for. That is a skill that you have to learn over time to make your own decisions, because it depends on who you're asking and how much does it cost. If it costs $50 and you can sell it for $55, No,
No.
don't buy it.
But if it costs $50 and you can sell it for $300, go for it,
Right. But really, that's a skill that each
Mhm.
person needs to learn. And
Mhm.
I think a lot of it is they don't want to be responsible for making that decision. They don't want to be wrong and have it be their fault. They want to be able to say, well, Ginger told me that I should buy this and it didn't sell. So
Mhm.
that's kind of a new person issue, but that's really not, I mean, I know there are groups that do that, but I don't want that responsibility of advising people on what to buy because there's all these factors. How much does it cost? Do you want to ship it?
Mhm.
Is that item profitable now? Is it going to be in 6 months and all that kind of stuff? So,
Well, and some people, I don't know if you've noticed, like Ken can sell pots and pans like a beast, and I can't give mine away,
Mhm.
and so I'm like, I'm not going to do pots and pans. I don't want to ship them, and obviously I don't have the gift, and so it's just like things that some people can sell really well, and oh, that's my bread and butter. Don't sell for me, so I'm not doing something right with that. So I just leave those things alone.
well, I never
If it's
see those things. He finds the most beautiful, well, he cleans them so they look
Yeah.
beautiful, but I just don't even see the things that
I don't
he's selling.
So he must know where to look. And maybe in his area, there's just more of that available. That's also kind of a regional thing. But where I'm at, I have to just get what's here because I just have that much to work. So I just try to look for things that are worth more here.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to bloom where you're planted and figure out how to use the resources around you because everybody has different resources and preferences. And really, the bottom line for me is I feel like I'm getting away with something when I have this business that I love and brings me so much joy and I'm making money. What more could you want in life? You can love your job. That's okay. I think our society is like work, it has to be serious and you have to hate it. No, you don't. You can love it. And I think the more you love it and identify what parts of it you love, which that's part of the interactive calendar, write down
Right.
what part you love the most. And freedom, that's my thing is the freedom to do what you want to do and make your own mistakes. And okay, that didn't work. There's always tomorrow. There's always another store. Something else going to pop up. Don't beat yourself up.
Oh, go. You don't have to ask anybody. Just click on time away and go. It's pretty great, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're on the same page there. Well, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day to come on and chat. Are you going shopping today?
Actually, I'm going to go meet with some friends. We call it Taco Tuesday. We meet and have tacos and solve all the world's problems. So that's probably what I'll do this afternoon. But
okay. Can I give you some problems to solve, or is that just
Sure. Text them to me. I'll take them to the group.
clean up the ocean?
Yeah. Get the ships unloaded.
Yeah, get the ships moving. Okay, well, thanks so much.
No.
We'll see you on Facebook and watch your miraculous sales.
Well, thank you. Have a good day.
You too. Bye. Thank you again, Ginger, for agreeing to be on the podcast and sharing all of your trade secrets. And thank you, listeners, for tuning in. I really appreciate all of you out there listening. You can get in touch with me by going to the links below the podcast. I love hearing from you, so send your feedback anytime. That's it for today. Make sure you have a profitable, productive, and fun day on eBay. See you back here next week. Bye.